The Greek gods, myths that built a civilization. Have you ever thought that the sky was watching you? Have you ever been on a mountain walk with the wind in your hair and thought that the whisper you heard was not the wind but a god? Yes, I have. I was there when Greece was still alive and well in the eyes of the gods, when every sound of thunder had a meaning and the water was full of divine anger. The globe was either young or just awake back then, and I, a lowly witness to its beauty, wandered among temples and heroes, feeling the heartbeat of something bigger than people. I remember the first time the thunder spoke. The storm built up over Mount Olympus like a crown of gloom and fire. The farmers in the fields dropped their tools and got down on their knees. The air was thick with terror and electricity like wine. The sky broke open, and a voice that was deep, powerful, and timeless spread throughout the earth. It wasn't just noise. It was there. It was Zeus. It was like that back then. The gods were not far-off stories or painted dreams. People could feel them in the ground, see them in the stars, and be afraid of them with every heartbeat of a person who dared to look up to heaven. We made them the center of our existence. In their praise, temples grew up like marble mountains. I saw craftsmen carving the faces of immortals out of stone, praying with every strike of the chisel. Their hammers rang songs, and their sweat was a gift. When they were done, the statues looked like they were breathing, with eyes that shone with the same fire that had danced in the eyes of creation. When you looked at the statue of Athena, it felt like wisdom was looking at you. Do you know what it's like to live in a world where myths are true? Where the ocean is not water, but the realm of a living god, restless, cruel, and eternal. I have seen sailors kneel in front of the seas and pray to Poseidon before they set sail, knowing that he could swallow them whole with only one thought. When he struck his trident into the ground, I felt the earth shake, and I saw the angry sea rise to take what it wanted. I remember the first time I ascended the steps of the Parthenon. The white stone was bathed in gold by the sun, and the air was filled with incense and song. People had come together to pay their respects to Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom. Even when she wasn't there, she was everywhere in the city. The poet said that she came out of her father's skull as a flash of light and thinking. At that point, I wondered what it would be like to contemplate so thoroughly that wisdom itself becomes flesh. Athena's wisdom led our city. Her temples became our places of learning, and her good deeds became our rules. She taught us that strength without reason is destruction, and that mind is the most powerful weapon of all. The philosophers of Athens said that her voice made them think when they discussed under the olive trees. I want to think they were right. But the gods weren't perfect. They loved, they envied, and they betrayed just as we did. Maybe that's why we loved them so much. They were like our own hearts, but on a supernatural scale. His anger may ruin kingdoms, but his fairness could rescue them. Aphrodite's beauty could stop conflicts and start them up again. Even Hades, the powerful lord of the underworld, didn't rule with brutality. Instead, he controlled with the peaceful inevitability of time. I went to the oracle at Delphi once, which is a place where the line between worlds got thinner. There was a lot of smoke and whispering in the sanctuary. I recall how the priestess shook when Apollo's spirit entered her body and her voice became fire and wind. Kings and beggars alike knelt in front of her, hoping to see what would happen next. Like riddles, her words were full of truth, but also mystery. "Know thyself," she said softly, and the hall went quiet. I still wondered if it was Apollo speaking or just the wisdom we all have inside us, ready to be heard. There were also happy occasions. Oh, how we had fun. The festivities of Dionysus went on all night, with laughter, singing, wine flowing like rivers, and dancing that never got tired. We thought that joy was a holy gift from the deity of ecstasy. I can still hear the flutes resounding through the olive trees, see the moonlight shining off the amphorae, and taste the grapes I crushed between my teeth. In those moments, it seemed like we were above death, like we were gods for a heartbeat. But even happiness had a dark side. Every feast reminded people of the sacrifices they had made. Every offering was a deal, human devotion in exchange for divine favor. I remember seeing a woman put a piece of her child's hair on the altar and pray to Artemis for protection. Her eyes were full of hope and terror. The gods gave, but they always wanted something in exchange, and so we learned to be humble and respectful. We learned to read the signs in the flight of birds, to understand the will of the gods in the smoke, and to listen for their messages in our dreams. There was divinity everywhere, in the sound of leaves rustling, the sound of the water crashing, and the sound of contemplation. Living in Greece meant being surrounded with presence, but there were still questions. Did we worship the gods, or did they live through our worship? Did they come from the sky, or did we make them up because we needed to convey how beautiful and scary life is? As we watched the sun set behind the Acropolis, I asked a philosopher these questions. He smiled, and the light made his beard look silver. "Maybe," he replied, "the gods aren't above us, they're inside us. The fire of our ambition is Zeus's thunder. Athena's wisdom is what makes us think clearly. The storm of our hearts is Poseidon's rage." That night, I dreamed of Olympus. It wasn't a mountain, it was the spirit of all people, always reaching up. A long time has gone since then. The columns of the temples are fractured by time, and they are quiet now. The statues are broken, and the weather and wind have worn away their faces over the years. But I still feel it when I wander among the ruins, that hum beneath the ground, that pulse of lost splendor. Memory makes the air seem to glitter. The gods may not walk among us anymore, but they are still here. Do you feel it too? When the sky splits apart with lightning, when the ocean roars, or when love or rage takes over your whole being and makes you feel like you're in another universe, don't you feel something old stirring inside? That's them. That's us. The myths that shaped our civilization did not disappear. They transformed into our mirror. In reality, myth was never intended to elucidate the gods. It was designed to make sense of us, our worries, our wants, and our need to find meaning in a world that is too big to fathom. The Greeks gave their questions names and faces, like Zeus, Athena, and Apollo. They used these names to build not only temples, but also philosophy, art, democracy, and the fundamental foundation of Western thought. I have seen civilizations grow and fall, and I have seen men give up their confidence in gods for faith in reason. But even now, the old legends live on, not as relics, but as reminders. We are still ascending Mount Olympus in our own way when we create stories about heroes, look for truth, and look for beauty. So, I ask you, what do you see when you look up at the sky? Clouds that are empty, or the eyes of eternity that are still watching and waiting? Because I was there when the gods were with us. I could feel their rage in the storm, their breath in the wind, and their wisdom in the flame. The marble has gone to dust, and their temples have fallen, yet their power lives on in every story we tell and every dream we dare to believe. Civilizations can fade away, rocks can break down, but the gods, the stories that made a society, will never perish, because they are still here. They are just waiting for us to remember. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.